Alright, so today we've got 3 micro helicopters on the bench, but we're really only doing a review of one of them. The one we're going to do the review on is the center one right here. It is the Blade Fusion 180. This is a little helicopter from Horizon Hobby. So the way I usually do this is I just do a general overview of the helicopter, and then I'm going to just go and do the pros and cons. And I'll use these other two for comparison. And that's about it. So now let's just do a general overview and some neutral points on this helicopter. So when you get it in the box, the only thing you get is the helicopter itself. You don't get a battery, you don't get a radio, you don't get anything. It's bind and fly. You get, I think, one little tool and a few spare parts. That's it. That's all you get in the box, and it costs $250. So $250 at the time of making this video, and the only thing you get is the helicopter, and it comes in a bind and fly configuration. So you got to have a transmitter, and you have to buy a battery with it. So with that, put this here, and I'll show you its battery. See if you can see that. This is a so I'm using this battery. It's a Turnigy Nanotech 450 milliamp hour. It's a 4-cell, and it says 70 to 150 C. I'm guessing it's basically a 70 C. So that's the battery I'm using. And yes, I did change out the connectors on the helicopter to be compatible with this battery connector. Also, you do not get this canopy. This is the canopy that came with the helicopter. It's okay. It looks very cold and fusion-ish. Okay, so that's the canopy. I like this one much better. It looks angry and and a little more colorful, easy to see when you fly it around. So overall, this is a collective pitch helicopter that has a belt-driven tail and has a pitch slider, and it's not a motor-driven tail. So with that, it has a very precise and very quickly reacting tail, unlike the one I have right here, which has a motor-driven tail. If you could see that. The motor's right there, and it just spins this, basically a fan. Whereas this one actually has a whole pitch slider system right there. And it has all Metal Gear servos, which is a plus. Because it's fairly small, it's pretty cheap to fix. The whole frame is carbon fiber, except for this bottom plate, which is plastic. The actual main shaft and main gear and motor, and the motor too, are all supported by either carbon fiber or aluminum brackets, which is really nice. Even the landing gear is actually carbon fiber, which is not really a big deal to me. This battery plate is also plastic. Up here, the head is plastic, and what else is plastic? Okay, so that's some of the positives as far as the frame goes. These are 3 Metal Gear servos here, so when you crash, these are pretty robust and pretty rugged. They will generally not strip out on you. But this tail gear here, this tail servo here, is a plastic servo. I've not stripped it out yet, but this one is not metal geared, just to let you know. And there was some kind of issue with the helicopter's servo horn. When I got this one, it was snipped. I did not do that. And supposedly that was an issue. Another issue was these little things here. So these are metal, and I replaced them, but they were plastic originally. And you really want to keep this nice and straight. And I found that every time you touch the tail, these little things would move on you, and it would mess up your tail pitch slider, and it wouldn't allow the servo to move properly and stuff. So it really kind of annoyed me, so I just replaced them, and now these are really rock solid. They do not move, and the tail pitch slider moves very easily between them. Now, another problem with this helicopter was a lot of people were saying that the tail performance or the tail would wag a little bit. So you would move it and it would wag. You would move it and it would wag. And people did all kinds of gain adjustments to fix that. And I tried some of them and I got a little bit of, it helped a little. Now, I ended up not being very satisfied with that, so I just put everything back the way it was. So all the forward programming, all the gain adjustments back to stock. And the main thing that I changed here was this pitch slider ring here. You can see that. I don't know how well the camera's going to pick that up, but it was plastic out of the box. I replaced it with a micro heli one, and it is aluminum now, and this pitch slider piece here is also aluminum. Okay, let me get a better shot of all this. This pitch slider piece here is also aluminum, and I did the whole package. I have aluminum blade grips, everything. And the main issue was that there was slop, essentially. I don't really see how the servo is going to be precise and accurate when there was slop between the little pins in here and this little hole right here. And now there's pretty much no slop that I can feel. And all I did was, when I replaced all this, especially this part, the tail wagging issue literally just vanished. And I have all the stock gain settings still in the helicopter. So maybe some people fixed that issue with the tail by changing the gains, but I decided to do a mechanical upgrade first and then look at the gains, and I don't think they're needed. I also the helicopter came with plastic blades. These are carbon fiber blades from Blade themselves that they're aftermarket. Well, not they came from Blade, and they are carbon fiber. That's another nice little thing that I did. It makes the collective a little more reactive. I did put an aluminum swash plate on it too, which is supposed to make the collective a little more, and cyclic both a little more reactive and precise. I don't know how much it changes it, but I decided to do that anyway. So that's pretty much all the upgrades I did on this one. And yeah, and obviously I did change the connector so it would work with my battery. Other than that, that's all I've done so far. And I changed the canopy obviously too. So those were basically the negatives. It was pretty much the tail wag. The fact that the plastic parts back here just weren't accurate enough to really keep the tail precise enough so that it wouldn't wag and it would go exactly where you wanted it to. That's the main negative, and these little, they had little plastic pieces right here. That's probably the second big negative. So if you see what's kind of going on here, they put a lot of carbon fiber and a lot of aluminum, but the main negative parts on this helicopter are some of the remaining plastic pieces. I might upgrade these too, I don't know, but it flies really well now. That's about it. Oh, and they fixed this issue here. That was another negative. So it was all with the tail. I changed out this, and then they snipped this at the factory for me, and that pretty much fixed all the problems that I can see with this helicopter that were all about the tail. Now, as far as positives, well, you know, it's cheap to fix. It's got a lot of carbon fiber and aluminum parts on it. It has the Metal Gear servos, as I said, plastic one here, but that doesn't always seem to be an issue. What else? You get about 5 to 6 minutes of flight time with the 450 milliamp hour battery that I'm using from Turnigy. So with all that said, I really do like this helicopter a lot. This is probably my favorite backyard flyer, especially being that it's cheap and easy to fix, and I can pretty much just take it out in my backyard and fly it anytime I want. I wouldn't say this is a good first collective pitch helicopter. You probably should go with something more like this, that with a simple, especially something that's a little more simple and has, especially with the tail, where it's very much easier to fix this guy. But it is definitely a good second collective pitch helicopter. Another thing is that you may have noticed that these two don't look too much different. It seems like this is really the helicopter that the 180 slowly evolved from. Everything from a torque tube to a tail that's really tiny and easy to break, and all these structural pieces here and everything like this in a plastic frame. And then they had these awful servos that get dirty really fast and start locking up on you. And they replaced it with a much thicker tail that not only does have a belt going through it, but this one does not, and it's thick too, so you're not breaking the tail constantly. Now you have actual physical rotational servos, not just these linear servos. Carbon fiber frame and stuff, as I've said. This one also has an in-runner motor, whereas this one has an outrunner motor that's right down here and not in the way of the battery. So that's pretty much the slow evolution of Blade micro-sized collective pitch helicopters. So as far as buying this little guy, what I would say is it's going to be $250 for the helicopter. You have to buy, probably going to need at least 2 batteries, and you need to have a transmitter, a Spektrum transmitter, compatible transmitter already. You're probably you don't really need the Smosh plate upgrade, but you are going to want to most likely replace these pieces and at least the pitch slider here. At least just this part, this little ring part here, and maybe the whole linkage part here. Other than that, you want to make sure this is cut. Oops. You want to make sure that's snipped at its last position. And that should really fix the tail if you are looking to buy this helicopter. And if you want to put carbon fiber blades on it, that's nice too, or change out the canopy. And that's really all I have for this one. Alright, so I hope this was helpful. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.